In keeping with our government tracking week, Peter's going to talk to us today about the CDC buying tracking information. I mean, really to just know everything about you. This is such a terrible week. I hate this. Not so critical update.
So the first thing I want to say is that I'm really glad. The one silver lining to the whole week, and there's so many horrible tracking stories, is that Mike's like armor is finally cracking, and that's
it
good.
really is. This is like super bad. Every story this week pisses me off.
And
I don't even care about tracking, except
all of it.
I don't know, man. This is bad.
Well, this is all about tracking, mate. So you kind of do care about tracking. So
they made me care by being assholes about it everywhere I turn.
Join the light side.
Join the light side. It shouldn't be this hard to convince you, Mike. I mean, we shouldn't have to have like the fucking data apocalypse upon us before you're like, okay, all right.
It's because there's so many benefits to it, and I like the benefits.
Right.
Yeah. And I'm also because I'm pissed off that the reason it's a problem is not because the technology isn't fucking incredible and that what we can do with the computers is amazing. It's that it's just asshole people being assholes, and they're just going to ruin a good thing for everyone.
I've said this before, but every geek's utopian future is one step away from a dystopian nightmare. It's really just how things are used, and because we're humans and we're awful, we're going to use it in the worst way possible.
If only there was a way to track those people. And then
what we could do is build
up
psychological profiles of people and then figure out who's going to use that for evil.
Yeah. Like if you knew just like a handful of things about them.
We can just passively convince them to be better people in our image. I think that's a good idea.
But like,
anyway,
we didn't even get to the story, Peter.
CDC. Yeah, what's going on?
So the CDC are tracking millions of phones. The headline is also to do with them. It was also to do with the COVID tracking, and they wanted to see if people followed lockdown orders, which is a kind of fair thing to do.
Yep.
But I mean, it's a kind of noble intention. But they were doing all sorts of other things, like tracking patterns of people visiting K-12 schools.
Churches.
How could that go wrong?
But hold on. Why?
For research. I mean, to find out the stats.
To COVID, right?
And to prevent,
to visualize and
to know what's going on. I mean, they're the Center for Disease Control. They want to make sure that people are not spreading diseases and finding out if it's happening and stuff like that. So,
which is great.
It's kind of valid.
They should do that.
Yeah. No,
did they get this data legally?
I mean, I suppose buying it from a company is illegally, right?
So, in my unpopular opinion, and this doesn't come out very often, Peter.
Oh God!
I'm on the CDC side. I am.
Don't make me hate you.
Side. I am. I'm on the CDC side. Really? They are using the tools that are available to them to do the best for their country, not the world, obviously, but I guess in a way the world, because they are trying their best to stop another.
People who are trying to ban abortions think they're doing the right thing. You realize that? They think they're making the world a better place.
Referring to the story we did yesterday, Peter.
Peter.
Yeah,
the
Roe v.
difference
Wade.
is that I'm right. Okay.
That's the difference. See, we failed to take that into account, Peter.
You guys are laughing. And my point is that I'm actually being serious, that the CDC is actually trying to help the world, and anti-abortion psychos are like trying to control women and take away their rights, which they have no fucking say in.
But now you sound like me saying, well, there's positive uses for this, which is why we shouldn't do away with the whole thing. And I feel like you're usually on the other side of that.
This can be done in a different way.
Was it identifiable? Was it identifiable?
Of course, it's all identifiable eventually, mate. That's the whole point.
I'm not making that argument anymore.
No. In a box, okay, in a black box was the data identifiable that the CDC purchased.
if you know where somebody lives, where they go to church, and where they go to school, you can figure out who they are.
I guess my point is less. Okay, you're right. I take that back. Correct. But what was the intent behind purchasing this data?
To research whether people were complying with lockdowns.
And I imagine also to look at trends and to look at like red hotspots and a bunch of other really interesting and important things for maintaining like a below average COVID infection rate or even mortality rate. But like comparing it to yesterday's stories, I feel is a bit rash because you guys, like, one is stopping more COVID cases, the other is stopping women from having abortions.
Yeah, I don't care. I don't care.
So I guess to some extent that's true, right? One could argue, a less sane person could say, oh, the CDC is trying to figure out what church everyone goes to so they can target us. But is the problem that the CDC is using it for... Sorry, Peter?
This data should not be available for purchase. You shouldn't be able to buy it in the
So is the CDC using it for good ends? Yeah, it's a different use case, but like Peter said, the problem is that the information is available. I can't believe I even just said that fucking sentence. I'm done. Go ahead. You do what you got to do.
The show is over.
Let's cut there. Let's cut there. Please edit whatever we're saying now.
I do the editing.
I have to get involved.
I literally just said the words "the data shouldn't exist." That's insane. I can't believe you people did this to me.
Couldn't agree more. You know, you're totally correct. The data shouldn't exist to begin with. But the fact is, and the reality is, that the data does exist, and using it in such a way to better humanity than to make it a worse place is a good thing. The CDC is not doing a bad thing.
Yeah, I'm on board with John. I agree.
Well, what is the bad thing that they're doing? The tools are there. The laws are there. It's not the CDC's job to make sure that we're running our country this way or that way. They have the tools. They have the means. And they're doing what they can to prevent a larger outbreak of
That's true.
One of the worst.
I think one of the problems that I have, one of the many problems I have with this is that by their legitimizing this data existing, by buying it for a noble purpose, they're making it something that is much more difficult to fight against. And now what's going to happen is that when people go to court and say we need to regulate the purchase of the location data, Safegraph are going to go, well, but it can be used for so many good things.
Sure.
Like the CDC and making sure that the COVID vaccine is being spread correctly and people are paying attention to lockdown rules and all that.
Yeah,
why would we want to regulate that?
The government absolutely wants this data to be collected.
Oh, 100%.
There's no question about that.
No one besides us doesn't want this data collected. In terms of, like, when I say us, I mean the people on the ground, the consumers. No one, like, why would they? This is perfect for them. This is perfect for the government. This is perfect for enterprises, and it's perfect for trackers. And
this justifies for the government that they do need it, and it is helpful because they can do this noble thing with it.
Mm-hmm.
They can also do the other thing that I mentioned earlier for people who are less sane to worry about, but which maybe that's not even fair to say. I feel so jaded about the government right now. They probably are tracking people just to know what churches they go to.
Maybe the two-party state, their two-party political democracy doesn't really work.
No,
capitalism has failed us. Democracy is in the process.
I don't actually think capitalism failed us. I like money. I think capitalism is fine.
Sure. So we could get into a longer debate about this. I think the problem is that we don't actually have a capitalist system. What we call capitalism isn't actually capitalism. It's a fucking kleptocracy. It's crony capitalism. It's corruption. It's insane.
All right. I vote that we get on with the next story so that we can get through all these horrible things as soon as we can.
This is going to be a rough week.
Mike, Mike did say he doesn't think the data should exist, so let's just cut with that.
That's a win.
I'm actually going to cut it just a few seconds before that.